Always fresh and a little bit sticky. Keep it locked on Cannabis Wiki. We're always fresh and a little bit sticky. The green room on Cannabis Wiki.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Green Room live from Sticky Nugs, Fort York location in Toronto, Ontario. Beautiful afternoon, sun is shining and we're high. Hey Derek.
And we got our next guest, Adam from Decibel. He's the Chief Revenue Officer.
Decibel, turn it up.
Yeah, I love that name. I like the name. I like their theme. So
Yeah, welcome.
excited about
Thanks
this
for
one.
having me.
Welcome to the Green Room. Are you scared?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited to.
I'm supposed to sit near you closer. Sorry. You're excited to share all the good stuff?
Yeah, excited to talk to you guys.
Well, thank you for joining us
Yeah,
on the
thanks for
Green
having
Room.
me.
So tell us what you brought here, what we have here.
Sure. Yeah, so I mean, brought a few new products from our latest product drop that we had in Ontario, but yeah, really just here to kind of talk about all the things we were just talking about, premium cannabis and the future of brands and some of the new folks and new brands that have come in here, and a big part of what we do is bring new and exciting gear to the market, and I think we've done that with some of our most recent drops.
Tell us about your most recent drops.
Well, I think the thing that I'm most excited about is the infused pre-roll category. Have you guys heard about this?
No.
Have you talked about this?
Explain about
I
it.
have, and I quite enjoy them as well. So you explain it and
Okay.
tell our listeners.
So infused pre-rolls was something that we've been working on probably for about 2 years.
Ooh.
And we weren't able to do it until last year when Health Canada changed the rules. So Health Canada changed the rules in that before you weren't able to mix two different classes of cannabis. So in Health Canada's eyes, there's kind of three classes of cannabis. There's dried flower, there's extracts, which basically covers everything from dabs to edibles to vape pens, keef and everything in between, and then topicals. So to make an infused pre-roll, you need dried flower, so milled up dried flower, and some sort of extract. So once they changed that rule, we were able to combine extracts and dried flower and spin them up into joints. And
So it's like a moon rocket?
so yeah, so these ones here that I brought are dropping on May 3rd, I think, so next week on OCS.
I love when they're nowhere else but right
Yeah,
here.
but we've got kind of a few different formats. This is probably one of our most popular formats, which it's got distillate on the inside in the flower, on the outside as well as rolled in keef. So you're
Ooh.
getting a bunch of flavor.
Big bang for your buck.
Exactly, you're getting a bunch of potency.
Now you're
and
talking.
and it looks like a moon rock. So
Okay, I like
but
it.
in a joint. So
The
Honey-
moon rocket.
Honeydew.
honeydew boba. So
Honeydew
this is going to
boba.
taste like that creamy bubble tea type of thing. So we also have that in a vape as well. So this just dropped.
See,
so
when we were talking earlier, you didn't explain yourself correctly. You're a brand for connoisseurs.
yeah, I mean, I think we're a brand, and we're.
That's
a
why I asked
company
you if you smoke weed, yeah.
Yeah, we're a brand and a company for the heavy consumer. I'm not gonna pitch you guys on bringing new consumers into the category, and here's a drink or a beverage or an edible or a 12% THC product. What our data and what the research says is that heavy consumers make up 80 to 90% of the purchasing.
Right.
And while it's important to bring new consumers in the category, our feeling is that those heavy consumers, people who like to smoke a lot, if we can get them on our products and brands and loving those, then as new people and as their friends or people who are interested in cannabis, who do they go to? They go to people who actually smoke weed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
When you first time you smoked weed,
Like you.
you didn't pop into a store and just do it yourself or call a guy and you asked a friend who knew.
Right.
Or the bud
smoked-
tender.
Exactly. Well, now we have bud tenders, which is great, but most people get introduced to cannabis through a friend that is knowledgeable on it, right? And is known in their friend group as someone who
Come on, just
smokes
take a
weed.
hit.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit like that. So yeah, we're going after that heavy consumer and yeah, to some degree a connoisseur, but people are looking for
You described this
potency, flavor.
Quite yummy. Like you describe, it was like a bubble tea and it's creamy and you're going to get, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's yummy.
Yeah, no, it's.
I think those are going to sell a lot.
Are we allowed to say how
Yeah,
much
yeah.
they are? How much to this price point?
So these ones, and again, depending on the retailer, but this should be kind of like 15 or 16 bucks for a 1 gram joint.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's
and
okay.
then these are coming in. I don't know what this lot actually is, if I can find it on here.
What's the THC
So
level?
this is 36.7. So these kind of are between 35 and 39% THC.
Wow.
And so we've got 4 different lines of infused pre-rolls. We have ones that just have like keef and terps. So those are like 27 to 30%. We have these guys that are going to be like 35 to like 38%. We dropped some diamond infused, which are like north of 40% THC.
Wow.
Now you're talking to Derek. Some diamond infused.
This is making a lot more sense now.
Yeah, so those things are like $30 a pack for 3 joints, but you're getting 600 milligrams of THC in them.
Yeah.
So it's like almost a full gram of shatters worth in a joint. And then we have
When you're at a party and you light that up, it's loud.
yeah, and like it might be night for a few people. So
Right.
yeah,
And
but
that's
it's-
not general admission. Why are you guys calling yourself VIP
Yeah, so-
cannabis?
the diamonds are in our Quest brand, but so that is like definitely a higher level. But do you guys want to pop these open
Yes.
and take a look at them?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so you can see
Oh.
kind of coated in keef, and this is our banana kush. That's a sativa.
I like sativa.
Oh,
And
that's a
this is-
sativa.
and this is your.
There's not enough. So we do, obviously, we do a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
We do a lot of talks. We do a lot of our own market research and data. There's not enough sativa on the market.
I know, and one of the reasons is sativas are a pain in the ass to grow
Derek,
in general.
Look at this
They
and
don't-
smell it.
They don't
that
yield
different
all
one?
that great.
Banana.
They can just be more difficult. Like I know, like
Is that what it is? A sativa plant is just isn't that awesome?
I mean,
This
as,
one smells good.
as you see it, like
This
I
is
mean,
more mine. I like this one.
Yeah.
What flavor is this again?
Banana.
That's
This
the
one
banana.
here
Oh,
kind
honeydew.
of. This one's. It's still like it's like a greenish. This is
Yeah,
like well cured. Like.
yeah,
I like this one.
He's a picky one.
yeah.
Well, listen. I want to smoke the best.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not here to hurt my lungs. I want the best.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
Adam was just saying why he thinks, and which is why other people have said, is sativa is really hard to grow. It's a finickier. It's a more, and now everyone wants bulk and bigger.
because everybody was just going for the highest THC.
Highest
The
THC.
sativa is not going to be that high in THC.
Yeah.
So they're like, but now they're seeing the demand for it. Like, you know.
It is. They're harder to grow. They don't yield as well on a per square foot basis, and like.
I like land races.
Yeah, but the fact is that cannabis companies, large cannabis companies, I mean, you've seen all the results going out. I mean,
We've seen them.
They need profitability, and what's profitable is for high yielding, high potency cultivars, and generally, and again, I'm not pretending like I'm a master grower, cultivator. Very involved in
you
it,
can
obviously.
pretend.
But exactly, but I want to be respectful of those people because they have an
Right.
immense job. But that is the reality. Unfortunately, is the business side of it is that you need to try and get the most out of your square footage
Right.
and what you're growing. And so I think that's part of it is they're just a little bit more finicky. But I agree. I mean,
Do you buy any of your cannabis?
in terms
Meaning, like, it's not grown at your facility. You
so
wholesale. There's a lot of wholesaling
Yeah,
going on in this
for
industry.
sure. For the most part, like everything in our Quest brand, anything on our like proper like our jars.
Okay,
our
what are
mix.
your brands? What is your brand? The family of brands.
So
There's
we've
Quest.
got two kind of main brands. We have Quest, which
Yep.
is our Quest family. So we've got Quest Reserve, Pressed by Quest, which is our concentrates.
Pressed by
and,
Quest.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then so we've got like Shatter, Live Resin, Gems and Juice, and then we've got
Gems and Juice. What's that?
Diamonds and Sauce.
Diamonds and Sauce is
Yeah.
Gems and Juice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's cool.
Really good with
Yeah.
your names.
You're all
and
over.
stuff.
You got the right product.
yeah, and then we have like kind of like a bit of a sub brand with Quest called Blendcraft, where we kind of
What's it
blend
called? Blendcraft?
Blendcraft.
Okay, Blendcraft.
So we have like a milled bag, for example.
Which we hear is a
Oh.
hot talk. Yeah, we're hearing that everyone loves those.
So we have our Quest family, and then that kind of plays in the premium space, and then general admission is kind of more in our sort of mainstream category.
General admission, anyone can have it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's for everyone. I mean, the tagline is "All are welcome." So it's convenient formats. It's
Quite the opposite of my tagline, Adam. But go on.
more approachable price point. So that's kind of the deal
What's in
there.
this bag?
This is a new launch. So General Admission started with vapes. That was our first product.
Oh, that's cool. Vapes are a good market to be
Yeah.
in.
So we just
Is that your best market?
in terms of market share, I mean, yeah, we do really, really well, depending on the month, depending on the province. But in March, we kind of exited March as the #1 vape brand in the country.
Good.
According to retail
Congratulations.
sales. So that's big. And then we've started kind of branching out. So we started just with your basic distillate vapes, and then went into live resin,
Oh, I
got
like that.
into infused
So what? You have a
brews.
vape that's live resin.
We do, yeah. We have 3 live resins, yeah. 3
That's the
different live
future.
resins. You know what? That's like one of the other things that has been tricky with, like we see it in the U.S. how it's a huge, much bigger part of the category, but it's still maybe 10% of the vape category, if that. You know, and there's lots of kind of different variations.
Because some of the carts are garbage. That's why.
True, and some of them, but I think it's more about the price point. Like our live resin kind of vapes, again, just quoting like OCS.ca price just for ease, it's like about $62 for a full gram of pure live resin, like no bullshit, no distillate added with live terps and kind of quality. It's like 100% live resin.
Full spectrum.
Yeah, but it's just it's
Swish,
like
that's it. You
9 to 12% terps, 75-ish percent THC.
Do you freeze it before you squish it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. He's right into this one.
Oh yeah.
You squeeze that.
So,
you freeze that before you
as soon as
squish
it's
it.
harvested, it's frozen, and then we run it through butane, and away we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, the live resin category just hasn't taken off nearly as much as we've seen like in other markets. Same thing with concentrates. Like concentrates are still only 4 or 5% of the category in Canada, which in the US, like it's closer to 15-20% in a lot of markets. We're just not there yet in Canada. Part of it's price, part of it's quality.
What about regulation? Is that part of it or not?
With concentrates, I don't think so. I mean, edibles, yes, for sure. If you can only get 10 milligrams, but you're only bound by 1,000 milligrams. Like you're not in a gram of shatter or in a gram of diamonds. You're not getting there, right? So you're good on that. I think it's still the availability in the legacy market, and the price point there.
Right.
And I think the concentrate consumer is that more connoisseur, more sort of like they've been in consuming cannabis for a longer time, so potentially they're just used to kind of some of their other channels or the quality that they're getting.
I love that you're mentioning that you guys have actually thought about the consumer. Like you're like, okay, these are for the heavy hitters. These are the people that know it. These are more the connoisseur. This is for like the general admission. This is to introductory to the whatever. This is you tell a friend. Like you have it all.
But I think that was one of the problems.
Thought about
that
it.
was one of the problems in 2017,
right out of the gate.
2018. It's like you had all these companies going, it's like, we're going to grow the category. We're going to get more consumers in the category. They forgot to market to people actually smoking weed.
Right. Like who wants a 2 milligram drink that tastes like ass for $16?
Yeah, or like a gel cap or whatever.
Or a gel cap.
Sure, there's a market for it, but I think
which beverage is that, Jackie?
What? I love proper. It's not proper.
I know it's not proper. Of course, it's not proper.
It's like house plant and all those other ones.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering.
It tastes like Buckley's.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
But that's part. I mean, that was part of.
Do you guys make a drink?
We don't. No. I mean,
because they're shit.
No, there's only so much you can do, right? And I think staying focused.
Can't do it all.
Can't doing it all, and like doing stuff like doing edibles. Our facility just isn't set up for that, and so doing edibles at scale, like you need to have massive scale to do it, so you can run those things because they're cheap. I mean, how much are you can buy edibles for what, $7-8 off the shelf? So you're selling it to the OCS for $2,
right?
$1.50 a unit. So you have to be super efficient to be able to get it. It's flour.
Oh, okay. I thought it was an edible. I was excited because it's called Desserts and Sweets.
No, that's like so this is our foray into dried flower with the General Mission brand. So what we did was, because consumers like choice and they want to try a whole bunch of different
especially
things.
when you're high.
Yeah, exactly. So we launched a line called Desserts and Sweets. So it's all like cakes.
A whole line.
Yeah. So basically, so we can switch up the cultivar within the bag without having to re-register it. So it's got like cakes and cookies and that type, or cakes and gelatos as sort of like the lineages type of thing. And so peanut butter breath is the first one, and then we'll run this for a little bit, and then we'll run something else.
In the same, so what is it like? It's a surprise bag?
No, it's actually peanut butter breath is the actual cultivar. So we just desserts and sweets. So it's like gelatos and cakes are basically the lineages that we pull from to put cultivars in there. So customer actually has an idea what it is. It's strain specific on the label, but we don't always have to re-register products.
How often does the customer buy the same strain or the same product compared to going across like your full, because like we've heard that they'll, if you win them over as a brand, they'll try other SKUs in the brand. But how much on average do they buy the same
exact same thing? Like,
or are you guys constantly trying to innovate?
It's highly dependent. So like if we look at Quest plays in the premium category. In premium, so if you think about any other category, outside of cannabis, like whether it's beer or spirits or what have you, generally the craft consumer likes variety, likes choice. And so, you know, within the premium category, we see less repeat purchases.
Like, what's the number?
Pardon? I don't have.
You're the chief revenue officer.
I know. I don't have that number off the top of my head.
Okay.
But this is why we rotate more frequently versus something in kind of like the more mainstream categories, like our vapes, or sort of in that like $25 to $30 price point for flower. People are okay with kind of staying with the same thing a little bit more frequently. So with what we do at Quest is we rotate genetics all the time. So our genetics are in market for 4 to 5 months maximum. And then we rotate them. So blueberry syrup is one of the is kind of the next of our
sounds delicious.
The next of our rotation heading into spring. So we've had banana OG, papaya cake, redneck wedding going for a little while.
A redneck wedding.
Yeah. So that's a GMO trophy wife cross. So
And then
trophy
you'll
wife
pull
for
those
redneck
off
wedding.
for a little bit, and then you'll bring them back.
No, so then we put them, you know, back in the vault and they go away, and we've got new gear coming. So we've got a frosted cherry cookies, icicle.
Let me interrupt. Look at Derek's devastation. What if I'm in love with what?
No. I'm just wondering. You're gonna bring them back though at some point, or
No.
Potentially not for another several years, because we've got genetics that, you know, continue. We've just got a ton of genetics that we can play with. So, and what we've seen is like
Limited drops.
Yeah, what the consumers told us is with their wallet is like, you keep a strain there for a year, they lose interest pretty quick, and you can kind of see the sales trend kind of peak and like, you know, once it drops first couple months and then it kind of falls off.
Well, this is the thing, right? Yes, you're right. But you know, maybe you should pull it off the market for 3 months. Then, you know, because what happens is like they see it, it's the same thing. Then they want to try something different, but then they're like, once they forget about it, which people have a very short-term memory.
Yeah.
Then they're like, oh my God, that's back. And then they want it. So you have to, you know, you got to cycle packs around, you know, Jackie?
And I think that's one of the things that we're going to find out too, is because we're bringing a lot of new frequently. But like, for example, like people loved X-Wife. We had a strain called X-Wife last year. That was Ghost OG and Trophy Wife cross. And people loved it. And so, you know, if we brought that back, for sure, people love it.
It's like a campaign.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So
it's like
that has potential, but you know, what we're seeing is that en masse, there's a lot of people who want choice. They want to try something new.
Right.
I think what's really going to be interesting is Health Canada changed the rules around micro cultivators where you don't need a sales license anymore. So you're going to have a lot more of that really new, exciting. There's some awesome small cultivators out there that are going to be able to bring their gear to market. And so they've got really unique genetics, great growing practices. And so it's going to put...
So how are you going to leverage that?
Well, I think it's going to do two things. My view on it is that the more people that are consuming high quality premium cannabis, the better, you know, for us. So, and for the industry, I think just, you know, everything going into $100 ounce bags is no good for anyone. It's not great for the retailer. It's not great for producers, and it's not great for the industry.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of growers, like the farmer level, and they're like, whoa, like it affects us too.
For
like,
sure it does.
I know you don't, when you go to the store and you pay this, it's affecting us, like the growers, right?
100%. And so,
because the OCS,
it's a race to the bottom.
The government is going to make sure they get all they want. They're going to get there. It's everyone else. It's going to take less and get less.
Exactly. So, you know, I think that thing that having more of those smaller guys be able to get to market, I think it's going to be good because it's going to allow consumers to actually get to try new things and find out what they like.
Are you going to white label some of that?
No, I mean, we've got our own production. We're pretty happy with what we've got. I mean, you never say never in terms of what that looks like, but, you know,
I've heard stories. It's like the pre-roll. Sometimes it's this. Then next time they buy something else, it's this.
We've heard some crazy stories.
The market's kind of crazy right now.
Yeah, I think there's also just like cannabis industry has a
lot of bad actors.
Oh, it's got a heavy rumor mill too, and I think, you know,
heavy rumor mill.
Yeah,
wow.
I think it's something to, you know, I think what we're trying to do is just you know, do the right things, be authentic as we can in terms of what we're doing, and try and, you know, continue to bring out new gear that people love. So
okay, so like we like everything, we love it, we smelt it, I've smoked before some stuff from Prairie Records, in Alberta, What was like, I know everyone talks about all the great stuff. What was like a miss? Did you guys have a miss, or did you have a oh my God, that was a total flop or a failure?
Yeah, I mean, we like, so our
like
first
those.
infused pre-roll. So we launched a version of these. So these are our distillate infused. We had some keef and terp infused pre-rolls, and you saw they're coated.
When
on
you say terp, are you
Yeah.
getting those terps from other than cannabis?
yeah,
Like kind
so-
of like Flow Scientific?
Yeah, so they'd be the same terps that go into our vape pens. So they're botanical terpenes. So still plant derived, but not cannabis derived. And we launched these in Western Canada in November.
Okay.
And it was our first commercial production run. We made a huge deal about it. And it, like, these things are not easy to make, especially think about rolling joints in keef, like hundreds of thousands of joints.
Does someone do it, or is there a machine?
We were doing it by hand at that point.
Was it
But,
you yourself, Adam?
and
Were you in there
and
rolling away?
We dropped those into the market, and it turned out that our R&D didn't match exactly what the commercial side or what the full kind of commercial launch ended up being, and they were too wet. And so this was probably our biggest launch that we had last year, and they didn't smoke. You couldn't smoke.
Oh,
them. It
because
was
they were
like-
too wet. They wouldn't
The
stay
weed
lit.
was too wet.
because it was too wet, and
The weed.
Well, yeah, because we coat.
It was green.
We have a no, not the weed itself, but the coating to get the keef to stick.
Was water.
And we didn't dry it out after enough, and so it was too wet to smoke. And keef is obviously all the trichome head, so it's super resininess. So it was just really tough to smoke. And so we made the massive deal about it, and then all of a sudden the phone starts ringing. It's
That they
like,
won't
these
stay
things
lit?
don't smoke. These are fucked. Like,
Oh,
no!
no!
But you know what? Like we were one of the first to kind of launch in this. We're the only ones with a keef coated pre-roll. But we learned it took a bit of damage control. It took a bit of patience, but I think it's all about how you react with your customers.
Absolutely.
And there's been a lot of flops just generally in cannabis overall, whether by regulation, whether at the production level, companies, what have you. But like it's about how you respond and how you manage the customer service around it. You're not just trying to put lipstick on a pig and pretend like everything's okay. Admitting you made a mistake, finding a way to make it right for your retailers and your customers. While that was a bit of a challenge, we've come back. We've still launched
With an even greater, better product.
With a better product. We fixed our production. It helped us learn, and away we went. So I think that was a great learning for us. It was a bit painful, not gonna lie.
Bit costly.
And it sucks when you get all excited and make a big deal about a product, and then they can't consume it. It's not exactly how you drew it up.
They can't consume it. Were they just taking it all apart and sticking it in a bong or
that's
something?
literally what they were saying they had to do, unfortunately. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so these things happen though.
So is there someone on the market that you sort of look to, or is there anyone that you think, wow, they're doing a great job, or they're like, it's so much competition in this space, so much competition, heavy competition. And we talk about collaboration, we talk about community. Is there just anyone, is there a product, is there a brand that you think, wow, that's really cool, or that's really great? Or
one of the coolest brands and companies that I've come across is Cake Caviar. Have you heard of these guys?
Cake Caviar.
Cake
Caviar, yes, I have.
In BC, so they've got, they're doing like aquaponics where they've got like the coho salmon
And the fish are in the bottom. Yes.
Exactly. And
Okay.
so
Is that Kayla?
Mann.
Yeah, I've done some podcasts with her.
Yeah. So super, super cool in terms of like they've got not only a cannabis business, but they've kind of got like a pseudo agricultural business.
Yeah. Don't
as
they
well.
sell smoked salmon as well?
Exactly. And they're putting out some fire gear as well. So super small, but it's such a cool story and kind of a different angle in terms of how other cannabis companies are operating. So they're doing a great job.
Will you acquire them?
Huh?
Will you acquire them?
They're doing a great job on their own. Yeah.
Derek likes the numbers. He wants to know. Give him some.
I know.
Are you
What are
acquiring
we here
them?
for?
What are we here for? Well, so you really like what the Cake Caviar?
Yeah,
did.
they're doing a great job, and I think there's like a lot more of the U.S. brands that are starting to come up as well. Obviously, like Wild, I've been a big fan of them on the edible side.
Right.
So they've come up to Canada. I mean, obviously, Cookies, Ghost Drops, they've done their thing and launched with a big splash. So I think what we were talking about before, and I think I was talking to Sam about as well, is how do they sustain that with the model that they have, right? So
How is it scalable?
yeah, how is it scalable? But they're kind of getting into Canada with kind of brand licensing deals, working with Canadian LPs, and so I think what we've seen, especially in the premium categories, you need choice. You need to constantly bring something new to stay kind of on the top of the mind of the retailer, bud tender, and the consumer. And so, can you do that? On a brand licensing deal or not, it really depends on your partners that you have in that and their strategy and their capabilities. So
I think you can.
Yeah, in theory you can. I think what a lot of people who aren't as familiar, especially on kind of the production side or from the LP side, is how difficult and how slow moving it can be to make change. And even on the cultivation side, I mean, look, we're planning our 2023 summer drops now, because that's when you have to, figure out what are the cultivars you're choosing, start getting into the propagating and mothering and everything,
right,
and figuring out what you want to actually grow and doing your test plants and all that kind of good stuff. So, it's a long lead, especially on the cultivation side, in order you can't react on a dime like you can potentially in vape. If there's a hot new flavor, you can do that really quickly, or edibles, you can move pretty quickly on that too. But especially on the dried flower side, which is 50-60% of the overall business, it's hard to pivot.
That is your overall business. It's 50.
Well,
60.
if you look at sales, just generally in Canada, 50 or 60% of of cannabis sales are flower pre-rolls. Yeah,
Pre-rolls.
Pre-rolls.
You got to have a pre-roll.
Yeah.
General admission. Banana Kush. Sorry, I'm just like.
So
honeydew,
will you
banana
white
Kush.
label to stores when that becomes active?
So I mean, we've been approached by that before,
now,
it's generally hasn't been of interest or feasible for us. I mean, we've been in hyper growth mode and really kind of focus on what we're doing. I think part of the challenge on that is that there's not a lot of money to go around, and there's a lot of hands in the pot when whether you're dealing with especially in Ontario, where there's
all those dirty hands in the pot,
different pricing structures, and it's hard to have a really competitive in-house brand. Typically, in-house brands are kind of in the value sort of piece and not in the kind of the premium side. So it becomes a bit tougher, and we're selling all of our production right now, especially on the cultivation side, and we don't have a ton of room in our facility to do things on the extract side. So we just haven't come across something that has made sense for us. Kind of remains to be seen how effective that is going to be for retailers, or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I don't know, everything tastes good, smells good, looks good. What's next? What's next?
What's next for us in Decibel or in cannabis in general?
For Decibel.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
you should be sponsoring music festivals, Decibel. Shouldn't you be part of the music industry somehow, like Prairie Records, Decibel?
Yeah,
is there a way?
Yeah, I mean, sponsorship's really tough. I mean, technically you can't, sponsor a lot, and I'm not as worried about people knowing as much about Decibel. I want consumers to know our brands, Quest and General Mission. Obviously, I want our investors and investors generally to know about Decibel, but our brands is kind of what we put forward with Quest and General Mission, and then we've got a small retail business called Prairie Records. But I think what is going to be core to us, and what you're always going to find with Decibel, is you're always going to find something new, unique, and interesting from us. So we went hard into the infused pre-roll category. We think that pre-rolls in general are a huge segment. We think infused pre-rolls are going to be a huge piece of that segment.
These are beautiful pre-rolls.
And so that's our big bet for this year. But I think what we've been able to do is really understand kind of what is driving consumers' decisions to buy products, what is driving retailers' decisions to stock product on their shelves, and what is driving bud tenders to recommend our products, right? All three of those things you kind of need to put together. And I think by always bringing something new, something interesting, to talk about, is really core to kind of what we do and what we've been able to get really good at, which is not easy.
If compliance, if government, OCS, government, Health Canada, whatever regulations, if they could change one thing, what would you be like? Yeah. One thing.
That's a great question.
Because, like, say you got an idea and you're sitting with your team and everyone's whatever, and you're like, oh, we can't do that because that's not within
Well,
regulation.
he just said he was just waiting to launch these products.
Yeah, so those was a big change. I would say, you know, and a lot of people would think, oh, I want to do a whole bunch of marketing and allow that up. Honestly, it's the labeling and the packaging.
So
That's what I would change first and foremost. I mean, and to some degree, the route to market. I think it's more important.
the route to market.
Yeah, so it's less important for the categories that we play in. But the reason, you know, beverages, for example, haven't taken off as much because I do believe that is a great product to get
At a bar.
new people introduced to cannabis in a fairly easy way.
Right.
Those need to be able to
Because
be
we all
available
drink.
at like your liquor store, beer
Right.
store, grocery store. Route to market is in where are you going to be able to buy it. But for me, I would love to see the labeling and packaging changes.
Label and
so
packaging.
being able to put a little bit more on there, be a bit more brand forward, and allow for a bit more storytelling, allow for a bit more of a product description, allow a bit more differentiation. Have a little bit more fun with that. That's what I would do first.
There's what you just said. There's on LinkedIn. There's a petition going around with thousands of signatures about the packaging.
Yeah.
Just being able to say more and to relay it differently.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I think there's lots that we, you know, all in the industry like to see change. I think what's important to remember though is that my view, well, it's not necessarily important to remember my view, but my view, I should say,
your view's important, Adam.
my view is that I think we're better off being more restricted at first and then easing out once we figured it out, as opposed to being the Wild West and then trying to all lock it down after when the whole bunch of things don't work. So, you know, I think there's lots that we have to be grateful for in terms of, you know, what legalization has brought us, and I think we just need to do things and advocate in a smart way that is appealing to what's important for the people who are deciding these things, which is safety, access to minors, you know, trying to get rid of the illicit market. I think leading with those things is important, and people, when they're advocating, need to lead with those things as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, safe.
Do you want to go over when these are going to be
Available?
on? Be available.
May 3rd.
Yeah, so these guys, so I think we've got a couple new things here. So these things dropped. So we've got our Honeydew Boba Vape and our Blueberry Syrup Flower. Those dropped on April 5th. And then this is our Desserts and Sweets Flower by General Mission. And I think we've got two things here, our Honeydew Boba and Banana Kush distillate infused. We also have a hash infused pre-roll with like
To see Derek's head turn like a snap.
with bubble hash.
Now you're talking my
with
language.
actual real bubble hash and spun up into nice joints.
Do we have those here at Sticky Necks?
They're not available yet. They'll be available next week.
They're not in your pocket or anything, Adam?
I know. I thought there was going to be some here, but there aren't, unfortunately.
Oh, some hash.
Yeah.
Now you're talking our language.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like
we
that.
find like legacy consumers, like people that have been smoking weed for a long, long time, hash is just they romanticize it. There's a real connoisseur hash.
Yeah, my memory of hash, to be honest,
Hot knives?
is hot knifing it with a cutout 2-liter bottle.
Yeah, like you go to the bottom.
It's not exactly
A
the
bottle
most
toke.
romantic, the most romantic thing, but there is something beautiful about it.
I remember hot knives and the
Yeah.
toaster,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
you put a
Yeah,
dime
your
in the
throat's
beer.
on fire.
Remember,
Yeah.
remember was it
Or
a
you
dime in a
have
beer
a
bottle and you shake it up and it breaks the bottom?
Paper
and then-
towel.
Oh,
yeah,
my
with the
God.
brown sheets in it.
Yeah.
Yes. So I guess it's not really romantic. Well, it's about my youth. I guess that's what it is. Trying to catch that. Well, this is really cool. You have a lot of great offerings. The names are amazing. I can't wait to try them all. When you described the one with the bubble tea cream, I can't get over that. Like I like that. Like I said, romanticizing. I like to fall in love with my weed. Which about like brand messaging and brands like
That's
people,
why you'd like better packaging.
yeah, exactly. I remember, so not what I bought or whatever, but my very first time at a legal dispensary in Vegas, I fell in love with, I passed my husband. I was like, oh my God, look at all the pink and gold. The packages, like
It
it could have
drew
been.
you in.
Totally.
Well, I referenced Wild, right? Like the edibles brand. I mean, their packaging in the U.S.
They
is
have the
beautiful.
cool
'Cause it's like
unshaped box.
Yeah,
It's like
and
a
then it,
weird
like,
diamond
opens-
in the way.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what drew me to it at first. And
Their packaging
they've
is
got a
really
great
pretty.
story, behind them as well. But yeah, I think there's just that aspect of, and then from like a merchandising perspective in stores,
Totally.
and like building displays and, you know, catching the eye and just being a bit more creative.
Yeah, like I
there's
remember,
a lot more there.
I remember running in and then I said like all of our stuff is like no frills. Like
know.
everything is like food basics, no frills.
Totally.
You can't, you know, you don't want to attract a child. So
Yeah.
well, this really cool stuff, really great stuff. Derek, what are you most excited to try? The hash infused.
Okay, well, you're done.
Why do I have Derek here? He's like,
That's what I'm going to try. Once Sam gets here at Sticky Nugs,
There we go.
it'll be the first thing I try.
I'm going to ask Sam what he sells most out of the General Admission and the Quest family of brands. Like, what are there at Sticky Nugs? What are people coming for? The pre-rolls are phenomenal. Like, this is...
What is in that vape box? Like, is it just like a
It's a vape.
510 cart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's just your basic 5
Look how big it is, the packaging.
Yeah, so I mean, we are gonna change our packaging up a little bit. I mean,
When?
into some tubes. I mean, it takes a bit of time, especially in Ontario. It moves a little bit differently here. So, but yeah, we are sort of trying to, you know, reduce the amount of packaging that we have and that we use. There is a balance to it, though. Of course, like you want to be able to have take up some shelf space and be able to have some visibility. But yeah, we are actively looking across everything that we're doing to try and, you know, reduce the amount of packaging that we have, the materials that we're using.
Yeah, it's not your fault. It's
yeah,
the industry.
For sure.
Do you guys have a newsletter? Do you have a club? Do you have a thing to keep your consumers and customers? Like, do you have a thing they could sign up for? Do you have some sort of...
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing to follow is our Instagram. But honestly, one of the things I'm most proud of what we do at Decibel is we have our own sales team. We've got our own crew that works for us and only kind of represents our brands. I like as long as I'm with the company, we will not go to a sales agent to kind of, you know, represent our brands.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop doing that too.
Our salespeople
now,
you know, are the best people to follow. They all have their own, you know, Instagram. You know, if you know, looking up Quest, you'll see about, you know, 10 or 12 or 13 different sort of pages with people's names. So they're going to give you the most up to date. They celebrate, you know, all the different shops that they go to, all the new products that come down. And they're just incredible ambassadors, you know, for our brands, and I'm super lucky that I get to work with them. So,
what are you hearing from them, your brand ambassadors or sales agents? What are you hearing from them that is like amazing, and what needs some help?
So yeah, from our territory managers, like the infused pre-rolls, like the diamond infused, the distillate infused, like and our vapes are crushing it. You know, I think our flower, you know, our last kind of rotation. I think we can do better, to be honest, and I'll just be totally honest about that.
I like honesty at the Green Room, Adam. Thank you.
You know, I think where the expectations are for premium flower have gone up, and what you're going to see from us this summer is, you know, bigger potency, louder terps in a big way, and we're really excited to get that into people's hands. So
Nice.
that's I think that I would say, and I think being honest with yourself and you know, self-reflecting is always important as well, right? So
Definitely self-reflection.
Yeah. There you go.
All day long for me. I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Derek, anything else, or you're just looking forward to some hash?
Yeah, that's it.
So Sam, you have to bring them.
So where the frick is the hash joint?
We need the hash one, and you know, we'll be looking for the fire coming out this summer.
Awesome.
So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah,
thanks
for having
I'll
me.
be smoking my general admission from the VIP. Bye.
Well, we are live from Sticky Nugs, one of the most beautiful dispensaries I've seen, and yeah, we're happy to be guests here at Sticky Nugs.
Yeah, we're kicking off our residency.
Thanks so much for having me, and we are so happy to have you guys here and be a part of this amazing journey. This is a family-run business, so I would say about maybe 15 to 20 years ago, maybe when I was a kid, my dad had this amazing, passionate idea of getting into the cannabis industry. It was so funny. I remember going into the garage and seeing him with this grid paper and had it all written out, and even the name and everything. And you always think, you know what? Hopefully one day cannabis can get to that point, but you never know, right? And I thought, you know what? Why not get into the family business and run this dream together? Because I just have such a passion about cannabis as well.
Yeah,
Already started, right?
Let's kick this
Get
up.
the ball rolling.
Yeah. Thanks again for joining us in the Green Room.
Nice.